We're rolling.
Nice to meet you again.
Nice to meet you.
Swing,
All right, boom.
I'm
Okay.
gonna go to the gym.
All right, excellent. All right, we're back, dude, with my man Alex Rosen. You ran the gauntlet on Infowars today, and here you are talking to a man on a tricycle. Excited? This is always fun.
Absolutely. It's great to be here. I'm glad I can curse on here finally. I mean, I had to hold my mouth on Infowars for 2 hours straight, and those who know me know I curse a shit ton, so
Yeah,
I'm glad to be here.
Alex, you can say whatever you like because nobody listens to my podcast, so.
Okay.
No. I'm kidding.
We love self-depreciation.
We do. We had a pretty fun day yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
We did?
I believe so.
Oh yeah, we did. We did.
We did.
We did, absolutely. Yeah, no, we trolled some Palestinian protest. Well, I'm sorry. We trolled demonic worshiping Hispanic, Asian, and white protesters protesting for Palestine. And then we also tried to get into city council where we eventually broke in.
We eventually did, right?
We committed the insurrection.
We did. We did an insurrection. You know, it was a weird day because you actually kind of trolled them more than I did because my purpose was to culture jam and speak. And I was just like, hey, Alex, just come with me and just come through and hang out with me while I do this, right? And so we go there, and we see some Palestinian protesters just hanging out. And we're like, whatever, ignore it. At this point, they kind of are like the Westboro Baptist Church.
Right.
And so we're going to go in, I'm going to go do my speech, and then we're going to probably leave, get some dinner. You know, I was going to see if you want, maybe there was a school board meeting or something else that night we could try to hit up. Mm-hmm. And they didn't let us in the building when I'm signed up to speak. And we made a fucking huge scene. Like, we got a bunch of people chanting, let us in. Let us in. Yeah, dude, like, because you just, like, took the reins and just took over and stole the show. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to be, I'm going to let this man cook, and we're going to do what we need to do. And they let us in. And we're talking to the Palestinian protesters like while we're like getting ready to kind of like figure out if we're gonna get let in, and it was pretty respectful. And at first they liked that. Well, at first like they liked us because you were speaking up to help to get them into the building too.
Right, absolutely. It was basically
it was
like,
kind of weird, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of like World War II into the Cold War. Like we were fighting with the Soviets at first, and then after they got into the buildings, when we start like asking them some questions, basic neutral questions, then they kind of start hating us for questioning their narrative, and then it became like the Cold War, where the Soviet and the USA aren't friends anymore.
Sad but true. I mean, I also wanted to get involved, but I had my speech, and I didn't want to miss my speech, so it was kind of like more like. It was kind of more like we both went our separate ways, but we wound up in the same kind of meeting.
Yeah, it was a little bit hectic for a trans woman like you to just have to deal with that crowd anxiety. And
yeah, it was pretty tough. Honestly, we'd be safer in the Gaza Strip than in a state of Texas that's run by actual Nazis. Like my 5-year-old son can't even transition anymore. It's ridiculous.
Oh, did someone say Gaza Strip? That's when my Muslim girlfriend takes her clothes off. Nah, I'm just kidding.
Dude, they should make a strip club called the Gaza Strip. That would be amazing.
Yeah, just all Arab bitches.
Anybody can go.
Yeah.
Anyone can make it. And then I'm just like, oh, we're going to live stream and Alex is going to film me doing my thing so that this way, like, maybe I get more fans and audience. And all of a sudden you're like, nope, we're going to call for a ceasefire in Houston midway through. And I'm just like, oh, all right.
Yeah, well, me as a Houstonian, this was near and dear to my heart because all these people were shilling for a landmass 5,000 miles away. And, this lady finally comes up and doesn't talk about Palestine for the first time in like fucking a year, it seems at this point. And, I got up and said, look, because all these Palestinians were calling for a ceasefire. And I was like, look, how about we have a ceasefire in Houston where gunshots are going off every night? And they got very mad at me for calling for a ceasefire in our own community. So it just goes to show you it's not really about pro-Palestine for them. It's more about just America hatred.
Well, yes, I agree. It's destabilization. How do you actually feel about the conflict, though? We're both Jews, dude. We actually we were digging a couple of tunnels in Brooklyn, and we kind of flew out here just afterwards.
Oy vey, yes, okay, we did, okay. But yeah, how do I feel?
We're gonna talk about the tunnels later, by the way.
Yeah. How do I feel about the conflict? Well, the thing is, I'm American, and I don't look at it as Jews versus Muslims or whatever. I just look at it as a territorial dispute that's been going on for centuries and thousands of years. So I personally just don't give a fuck. my thing is I'm pissed off that tax dollars are going to Israel for rockets and all this type of stuff, and I'm pissed off that aid's going to Gaza as a result of those rockets. I just personally don't care. I'm American, and just because the Israeli prime minister is a Jew doesn't mean that I'm loyal to Israel. I'm loyal to America.
I think that I'm loyal to America too because we live here and it's the greatest country on earth.
Absolutely.
But we're still Jews, and we should still be able to, like, if God forbid, like, shit were to hit the fan, and you were to, like, repeat the pogroms in Eastern Europe or what happened in Germany in the 1930s, or even what happened in, like, other European countries throughout the turn of the century that led up to Germany, because, like, all the shit that Adolf Hitler said, like, was stuff that a lot of people in Parliament and at high social, like, tea events, you know what I mean, like aristocratic tea parties all said this stuff, like, out in the open, right? Like, so, like, if stuff like that does make a comeback, right? Like, you do want to know that, like, you have that insurance policy, like, I got a place to go if worst case, like, if shit hits the fan. And, like, you look at these Palestinian protesters, right? And, like, you can't have, like, there's a couple, right? Like, there was that redhead lady.
Yeah.
Was really cool.
Sure.
She was awesome. And you could have a conversation with her, and probably, like, if more of these protesters were like her, you would probably have, like, you would actually get a real ceasefire.
Well, yeah.
But, like, sorry.
Go ahead.
But governments are always like a microcosm of the people. No, they're a macrocosm of the people who protest for them. And so if these guys are the ones protesting for the Palestinians, right? And in quotes, right? If these are the guys doing that here in Houston, and you're in Texas, and then you see what's happening in New York City, and you see what's happening in D.C., and you see what's happening in Canada, and you see what's happening in Europe, where people are like people are like harassing like Jews going to temple and like beating up migrants are beating up Jewish women and doing all types of insane off the wall shit. Like, what do you think would happen if, like, the Palestinians or, like, Hamas actually, like, controlled Israel? Like, we'd be fucked, dude.
No, for sure. I mean, I was even telling the protesters yesterday, like, look, you guys not wanting to talk to me. You guys, like, saying I'm harassing you and this type of stuff. That's not how to bring anybody to your side, because I didn't even come at them and be like, well, Israel is actually just, like, the best thing ever and Palestine sucks. I just was asking them questions. I'm like, you say that you're, like, want queer liberation. So how do you feel about Tel Aviv making San Francisco look like a theocracy? And they're
actually.
Yeah, and they're just like, oh, well, no, we're not going to talk to you right now, or, oh, get away from us, or, oh, I'm not going to answer that. So it's all, they don't convince anybody to come to their side by ideas, and even by force. I mean, when they block the roads, they're not convincing anybody to come to their side. They're just a nuisance.
They're actually doing the opposite.
They're retarded, yeah.
They're actually doing the exact opposite. And it's almost that by watching these protests, you're actually more confident that, like, you're always going to get a Jewish state in Israel. Like, even when you're talking to Palestinian sympathizers, right, who are normal, because there's a lot of pro-Palestinian people that are, like, good, solid dudes,
right,
that have very, very, like, important, nuanced opinions, and you could learn from them and have a back-and-forth dialogue with them.
Definitely.
Like, even when talking to them, you're like, well, I want a ceasefire. Like, the people who are saying, like, there's a lot of people on our group who don't like what Israel is doing, and I don't really like what Israel is doing. Like, I really hate Netanyahu, and if you paid attention, like, there's actually a ton of Jews in Israel. Like, the majority of the country is having massive protests against Netanyahu in Israel.
Well, the thing is, Netanyahu, he propped up Hamas. Like,
yes.
he wanted to fund Hamas. So it's like Netanyahu wanted this shit to happen. And, look, we don't know what happened on 9/11, and we don't know what happened on October 7th. Yes, it's tragic for the civilians that got killed. But you got to understand, too, like, the Iron Dome is supposed to be the most secure defense system in the world, and you're telling me for 6 hours they didn't know this attack was happening or weren't prepared for it?
Well, the military took 7 hours to respond, and they also staged this music festival occurred right on the southern border of Israel, right next to Gaza, and there was, like, lieutenant colonels and high-ranking members in the IDF and in the Israeli intelligence that were saying that this was a bad idea, and they just got ignored.
Yeah, no. So with Netanyahu, especially with the protest happening.
But here's another fun fact, and it's that if you I'm sorry I'm interrupting you, but we're two Jews who are, like, pro-Israel existing, right?
Yeah.
And we're openly shitting on Netanyahu and criticizing the Israeli government. You could never, like, talk to these pro-Palestinian protesters and criticize Hamas and have a nuanced back and forth discussion where you're openly criticizing, like, the government in that country. And that, I think, that is the difference that a lot of people do not want to come to terms with, right?
No, 100%. Like it's so weird. They just call, they call people that just went into the Capitol, went into the White, or protest domestic terrorists. But when it's actual people in masks with guns shooting civilians, they're like, oh my god, they're literal freedom fighters. And and it's whatever. Like Hamas has done some fucked up shit. The Israeli government has no doubt done some fucked up shit. I care about more of the fucked up shit they've done to America, like with the Levant affair, the USS Liberty. I think their involvement in 9/11 it needs to definitely be looked into.
The dancing Israelis? I gotta watch the video and learn about that a little bit more.
It's bad. And so I care more about that than what they're doing to Palestine. I don't give a fuck about Palestine. But but that's the thing. Like, I lost where I was going with this. That's the thing. Yes, I am pro-Israel existing because I believe that any country that fights for its borders has a right to exist straight up. I don't give a fuck whose land it was 2,000 years ago, whether it was Israelis, Palestinians. The same way I don't give a shit this was indigenous land 200 years ago. I just don't care. It's our land now, so deal with it. That's just how I think.
Okay. I mean, that's a fair point, I guess. You worry that this crisis is going to kind of like have an effect on how people look at us, though?
No. I mean, I know. I mean, I'm past all the racism and the anti-Semitism, like whatever, those buzzwords. I'm past all that shit. I'm confident enough in myself that people can look at me as an individual.
I feel so too. Look, I know a little jiu-jitsu. I own guns. I live in Texas, right? Like I live in a good spot where, it's okay to be open about who you are.
Yeah. Texas is one of the most tolerant states you can think of.
Texas actually is, and
people
actually think it isn't, because they don't want your 5-year-old son to start taking puberty blockers, which actually was a big struggle in and of itself. I'm like, I don't understand how this didn't just get past day one. Like, yeah, this is a terrible idea.
Well, probably because half the Republican Party in Texas is probably gay pedophiles.
Probably, or they probably own a bunch of big pharma stock. They had long-dated call options that they wanted to wait for them to expire.
Yeah, no shit.
Long-dated
literally
pharma call options. They're early investors in some new science that help the kids transition more seamlessly, and they like want to make they want to profit off their investment.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what it is, right? Like they're cousins and investors in some of these big, gross companies.
It's insane, man. The Texas GOP is such a joke.
Like, it is a joke. So we were talking about this anti-Semitic stuff, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like worried like I'm gonna just all of a sudden get attacked because I'm like a Jew or anything like that. Like,
right.
I don't think that's happening yet. I think that like there is. I'm more concerned about like so like 2 years ago when Kanye was saying all this stuff, right? I think when we did our first podcast, right, this was right when Kanye said all of what he said.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was exactly because I went to the Houston Commissioner's Court and did my video about how I was suing Kanye West because, like, Yeah. So it was around that same time, right, that we did this episode with the Kanye stuff. And I'm just like, dude, this stuff is ridiculous. Like, everyone's flipping out on Kanye. There's no reason. I'm not worried about any of this stuff. Like,
right.
Like, this is a joke that they're even bringing this up. Like, now, like, 2 years later, I'm kind of like, I see some of these like Groyper accounts like popping up in insane popularity and whatnot, right? And I'm like, yo, maybe this is something that you should kind of like think about and prepare for and try to like stop before it starts. Does that, you know what I mean? Like if that makes any kind of sense.
Well, I think the way to stop a lot of anti-Semitism is have the ADL dissolve itself.
I agree with you.
Straight up.
I agree. I agree with you fully.
I think when you call frog memes anti-Semitic, then all it is, all those froggies, which the Groypers, all they're gonna do is just be more anti-Semitic.
And you're also dealing with people that live in their mom's basement who've never had consensual sex with a woman without money being involved. These are people like with actually. will like actually have nothing to lose and just do not care, and they will sit at a computer and if you want to get into a mimetic war, you're not gonna beat those people in a mimetic war on the internet.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, that's how trolls are with anything. If they smell blood in the water,
they're gonna go. They're gonna go after it.
And
yeah.
The thing with Jews is we are experts at giving people ammunition and putting blood in the water.
We are. So, unfortunately, there are not enough. We need more Jews like us.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's the best way to kind of like phrase it. We need more Jewish people like us who are, doing what we're doing in this movement.
Well, when people think of Jews, they can't be thinking of Jeffrey Epstein. They can't be thinking of Harvey Weinstein
or Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah, or Sam Bankman-Fried. but they do because it's just so common now, unfortunately. Well, and there needs to be some more self-policing. What Jews should really be is me, you, and Peter Schiff. I love Peter Schiff.
Peter Schiff. Yeah,
he's just a great guy.
Yeah. his views on Bitcoin are completely nonsensical. But that's for his son. That's why his son buys all the Bitcoin.
Right,
That's
right.
That's kind of another story.
Yeah.
But these accounts, right? Like, do you think like the anti-Semitism that you see on the internet is real?
Like, what do you mean?
I mean that the United States government and these intelligence agencies connected to our government, I saw this on Whitney Webb, they own about like 1,500 bots, like bot accounts at least. And do you remember all those virus pro CCP accounts that kind of like flooded Twitter back in 2020?
Yeah,
you
yeah.
Remember all those
that.
pro BLM accounts? They weren't even real; they were bots, and there was a lot of and a lot of people started posting all this pseudo COVID science stuff, like this pro mask, pro vaccine stuff, because they just wanted to get followers and influencers.
Yeah, no,
and it was people who like just appeal to like insane left wing ideologies, neoliberal ideologies, just so they can engage in farm. I feel like you're seeing that, but now with like the groypers.
Potentially, I mean, I remember the Chinese bot accounts. It was like I was like, wait, that's weird, because Chinese people aren't even allowed on Twitter in China. But it's like, haha, you take stupid American vaccine, I take Sinovac and stuff like that.
There was that, yeah. But there was also like the pro lockdown. There were a bunch of pro lockdown, pro Biden bots that flooded Twitter back in 2020. And now when you go on Twitter right now, you see these like Nazi like or Nazi adjacent bots that are flooding Twitter. And I refuse to believe, like, because when you talk to people normally,
right,
like, there's no fucking Jew hatred right now when we walk around
no,
normally. Like,
not.
nobody cares. But when you go on Twitter and there's all types of, like, it's the Jews. The Jews did this. There's all types of, like, Nazi adjacent shit that you see on Twitter. And then you see people like Nikki Haley who go off and say stuff along the lines of, hey, man, you need an ID to go use the internet. And it feels like we're being opt into giving up our digital privacy, and these kinds of accounts proliferating are a psyop to get us to opt into digital tyranny.
Yeah, well, I mean, with those accounts, I think a lot of them could just be feds or something.
Yeah,
I mean, I think a lot of that stuff is fed posting. But then again, on Twitter, too, you can always just find what you're looking for. Like, you know, have you noticed all those NBA accounts popping up? Well, if you're looking for them, they'll be popping up. So, I don't know. It definitely is some type of honeypot in a way, though.
It's a huge honeypot.
And
there are conservative influencers right now who are, like, openly saying, I want to join the Groypers because they are literally trying to engage with farm.
Yeah, no. I mean, right now, just kind of just crapping on Jews is popular. But it's like, you know, we as Jews also got to think, why is it popular? Like, we can't just say, you know, like, for example, when all these accounts were making black jokes about all the crime and stuff,
yeah.
You know, rather just saying, oh my God, they're so racist. Well, why are they feeling that way? Maybe we should instead of finger pointing, we should maybe thumb point and say, well, you know what? I also, on the other hand, I can't really blame them if their perception of Jews is Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, you know, Sam Bankman-Fried, all these people, then that means people like me and you need to be better and elevate ourselves so their perception of Jews can change.
Dude, I'm doing my best.
I mean, we are preventing the Holocaust right now.
We are. Like, listen, I'm doing my absolute best to do that, right? Like, even when I talk about this crisis, I try my very best to talk about this as objectively and fairly as possible and see both sides of this, right? And I try to demonstrate with people who actually genuinely want to have a back and forth conversation. I do try to demonstrate empathy for what people in Gaza are going through, right? Like, I really do. Like, I want to actually avoid World War III. I want the ceasefire to be permanent. You know, I want that region in Palestine to turn into Dubai, right?
Yeah.
And with the amount of money that a lot of groups give to Hamas and the governments of Palestine, there's no reason not to, other than the fact that they're spending it on rockets and tunnels and weapons and indoctrinating kids and naming hospitals like schools and hospitals after suicide bombers, right? Like, all that stuff is a thing that people need.
Yeah.
Like, if you want a real ceasefire, you got to contend with that. And the ceasefire crowd doesn't want to contend with that.
Well,
just like if you're going to be pro-Israel, you should be contending with the fact that Israel funded fucking Hamas. Because, like, if you want to have a place to go, I'm sorry, I'm going off on this, but like, if you want a place that if you want to have a place where you're going to go home to that you actually do feel a spiritual connection to, if you actually do start believing like in God more and getting more in tune with your faith, which both of us are going to eventually start doing more of, because we risk our. I mean, you're actually risking your life a lot more than I am to take bad guys off the street. You know, you're gonna get more in tune with your faith. As a result of that, and like when you have like a government that's carpet-bombing people into oblivion and sounding like cartoon villains saying, "I want to go to war with Russia. We need to go to war with Iran," and they become George Bush 2.0, dude, you should definitely call that shit out. I agree. Like I call that out as much as I can. I guess the problem is no matter how much you know how with these far lefties, like you can never win with them.
Right.
It also feels like with some of these gripe accounts, like nothing, you can't win. Like, and that's what gets frustrating. Like, no matter what, you can't win.
Yeah, because they just label you, Jew,
yeah,
Jew,
you
Jew
can't
over
win.
and over again.
You can't win, and that gets frustrating.
But it is what it is. It's either we just don't give a fuck, or if we do give a fuck, then we have to change. We have to change the stigma around it because if there's because obviously these groyper accounts know that white people commit crimes, which but. At least in their mind, the vast majority don't. In their mind, the vast majority of Jews are bad. So, it's either we just don't give a fuck or we have to change the stigma. And I think we need to just keep elevating, like I said, keep elevating our voices more. So we're what they think of when they think of Jews. So,
exactly,
we
but
prevent the Holocaust.
But that also does mean being openly proud of who you are. You know what I mean? Like, being like, yeah, I'm a Jew, I'm proud. Like, just being open about being a proud Jew while doing this. Because if we're doing all this stuff and we're amplifying the right causes,
right,
but we're not like proud of who we are openly, then we're not helping to change the stigma.
That's a good point. I agree. That's a very good point. And we also need to call out too, because look, when say the FBI causes an explosion. I'm sorry. When it's a terrorist attack in somewhere in America, what do Muslims do? Will Muslims say, "Oh, well, that's not real Islam, this or that"? Whatever the Quran says, I don't know. Every religious book has some really fucked up shit in there. So
and everyone's like, "Let's expose the Talmud." I'm like, okay, there's probably some fucked up shit in the Talmud. There's fucked up shit in every religious doctrine.
Oh yeah, and
it's a guide. It's not a verbatim thing that you take literally at every single page.
And the shit in the Talmud is inexcusably fucked up. I mean, it's
there's
fucking
some
terrible.
Stuff that's really bad.
It's fucking terrible.
But if you read how many volumes and books are in the Talmud? There's 20 plus humongous books, right? And
Choosing
it's easy
one
to cherry pick stuff that's in you can probably cherry pick stuff that's in the Bible too, right?
100%.
So it's one of those things where it's like. Or you can cherry pick history and be like, well, it was Christians that were doing pogroms in Russia.
Yeah.
So it's the cherry picking other people's other religions is not healthy. I think that it's not healthy because I don't know, man. God doesn't make mistakes, right? And I love that people are Christian. Mm-hmm. I really do. I think it's great, man. I love, even if you're Muslim, I love that you found God in the way that you were meant to find God, right? I think that's good. I support that openly,
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, that's what I was saying. I think, Muslims do a great job of saying, well, that's not real Islam. That's not real Islam. Well, we need to take someone like Harvey Weinstein, who's literally probably a devil worshiper.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Epstein, who's no doubt a devil worshiper. Sam Bankman-Fried, who's probably just an atheist and probably a devil worshiper.
Not Lloyd Austin, but Merrick Garland.
Yeah,
I don't relate to those people. That's not me.
There's a sect of Judaism that thinks well, they're all under the umbrella with us. Well, no, the fuck they're not. We need
Albert Bourla. I don't identify with that guy. That guy doesn't. No. That guy's not my kin or my person.
No, and the vast majority of Jews are not like that. Yeah, there's a lot of Jews who are way too liberal, and that's definitely.
I think that's about to change. Well, that should change.
I hope so.
Depending on how the political landscape, it should change if the right doesn't get co-opted with these fucking Nazi Fed accounts.
That's true. I mean, there's a very good chance to bring over a lot of Jews who I just hope they get smacked straight, as in hey, maybe bringing in refugees isn't a good idea. But a lot of these organizations bringing in refugees are Jewish run, and that's a problem.
Yes,
that's a problem.
The ADL is Jewish run. I don't think the ADL should exist.
That's a problem.
That does not help us. If anything, the censorship and that type of stuff, or when YouTube is censoring your account for catching pedophiles, and the CEO of YouTube is Jewish, I don't like the fact that I don't want to associate with somebody like that.
No.
Even though we may worship God the same, it doesn't mean that
they probably are devil worshippers with Jewish last names. But,
yes, that's also what that's kind of I guess what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah, they're not actually saying, thank God up above for this.
These people don't believe in God just because they have a Jewish last name or they were Jewish in name only. That doesn't mean that you're actually Jewish. Doesn't mean you actually subscribe to these principles. I don't have a connection with those people. I'm totally fine to say that. There's nothing wrong in saying that.
Yeah, ironically, the worst Jews are the atheist ones. Like, that's kind of how it is.
Well, a lot of Jews also became atheists because when you lived in a country where everybody hated you and wanted to persecute you in order to assimilate into society and not get fucking raped in the middle of the night or get your house broken into by an angry mob, you had to disassociate yourself from your religion. And that's why a lot of Jews are actually more secular and more liberal than other religions.
When did that start happening? Like, and so in Europe, they would.
It's always been like, yeah, they had shit like that happen all throughout the 1800s, man. They had the Inquisition. They've always been, every few hundred years, right? There have been like decades where this type of stuff would just be commonplace.
Yeah, I mean, kicked out of 109 countries.
Commonplace. Yeah, kicked out of exactly like. For why do you think that is? You think it's because like we're bad people, or you think it's like because we're an easy group of people to scapegoat because we're such a small minority and we never really had a home? We never had we had a home in Israel 2,000 years ago. The Romans kicked us out. We have a diaspora spread out all over the world. Like, we don't have large numbers. We're not homogenized. You know, we're kind of scattered. And then all of a sudden, like, you're a scattered people and you have slightly different religious customs than everybody else, and you know, one or two get into positions of power and they influence things. It's easy to blame the outsider. It's always easy to blame the outsider. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
100%. But we, you know, throughout history, at least, you know, in Nazi Germany, the Jews, they founded the Institute of Sexology. Magnus Hirschfeld, basically founding modern transgenderism. I mean, that shit right there. Yes, were most Jews that way? Absolutely not. But God, Lee, it's just so easy.
It's easy. It makes it too easy. Yeah, it's not good.
Jews shoot themselves in the foot way too much with this type of stuff. And like, Jews should have been the main ones on the front line saying, "Hey, let's not instead of the Nazis burning down the Institute of Sexology, it should have been the Jews doing it. It should have been the Jews doing it. Like, I mean, I'd be out there doing that. So I mean, I think that's what it needs to be like that. And like I said earlier, that's what Islam is so good at, disassociating from the bad apples, and Jews do a terrible job of that. Like, we're so bad at PR.
We are very bad at PR. I mean, and hopefully we can improve that.
I hope so too, and I think this podcast is.
I hope so. I hope so. I hope it doesn't look like me just ranting and complaining and being like annoyed and stuff, but I hope, man. I really do. I really, honestly, genuinely hope so. But I do think that these accounts online are feds, because remember Patriot? Like, no, it is like Patriot. Do you think Patriot Front are feds?
I think like everything. There's feds mixed into it.
Yeah.
So I think it was started by the feds, no doubt, or infiltrated by them. But like every single one, no, but a lot of them definitely.
When I was seeing, there was one time I went to when I was at Rebels for Cause, back in Nashville. Me and Matt Baker were gonna like go see what was up with the Pride Parade and get some footage. And we saw like an actual Nazi with a sign that said "fags rape kids" on the sign, right? And I'm just like, you know what? I know what we're gonna do. We're not gonna fuck with these gay people anymore. We're gonna fuck with this Fed looking motherfucker. And so we're like, hey man, how long have you been a Fed for? You know? Yeah. Like, you know, the like, you should join the AIDS. Like, how's the Azov battalion? You know, these are the Azov battalion. They're the good Nazis. They want us to wear masks and get vaccinated. Like, I just was fucking with him the entire time. I'm like,
yeah.
You know, it's like, I'm not a Fed. I'm like, well, I mean, don't worry about it. Like, a lot of people in our, it's like, no, I'm an actual Nazi. I'm like, well, so are a lot of people in our government. You know, so what are you trying to say? Like, it's okay. You know, it's okay to be a Fed. Don't hide who you are. You know what? And we were just like, all right, have a nice day, Fed boy, and then we just walked away, right? And like, that was it. Right. And so like, if you can have like a bunch of Feds infiltrating like Patriot Front, and then they march in this matching outfits, and they make all of us, in order to try to make all of us look like anti-Semitic, ignorant bigots, because we want to still preserve the freedoms and liberties that come with living in America, and nobody fell for it. Nobody really fell for the op. They're like, oh, these are Feds. This is bullshit. These are Feds, right? You don't think that like the next step would just be to blow up the digital space? Because you know what I mean.
Point.
Like, it just seems like it would be the next logical step to do, is to just blow the digital space up. And how concerned are you about a cyber attack?
Ooh, the cyber attack.
The cyber attack. How concerned are you about that?
Oh my gosh. Well, you know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't realistically think it's going to happen anytime soon. I just think that's more fear porn, because you know the thing is, like, the elites need internet too, and a lot of the political class of donators also need internet. So
Maybe.
I don't think. I think anything that actually affects all of these people, they won't do. So For example, like COVID. COVID was released and it ended up being bullshit, right?
Yeah.
But the vaccine, I knew from the beginning, the vaccine is going to be the killer. So they only release stuff that they don't have to suffer from that's going to make other people hurt, which is why, obviously, Klaus Schwab didn't take the vaccine, right?
None of these people did, right?
No. So, but they released the vaccine onto us because they didn't know they're not affected by the vaccine. So it's going to be the same thing with a cyber attack. They're not going to release a cyber attack onto us because it's going to affect them too.
I don't know about that. For a couple reasons, right?
I don't think the elites self-nuke.
Well, they have bunkers,
Yeah,
right?
true.
We have 34 trillion of debt in America.
Right.
Every country in the world has a bunch of helicopter money that's unsustainable.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about doing a reset. They complain about overpopulation. They want to put us into 15-minute cities where people are a lot easier to control.
Yeah.
And they're building tons of bunkers, like I said earlier. And they're releasing movies like Leave the World Behind.
Well, my caveat was like anytime soon. I don't think.
What's your definition of soon?
Next 5 years, I don't think they're.
No, I disagree. I think next 5 years is very likely, especially with who the president might be.
So you think if Orange Man gets in, there's not going to be one, or you think there is going to be one?
No, there will be one if Orange Man gets in because it's a very easy person to blame. And you have a group of elites who go to Davos every single year, and they use crisis after crisis to usher in a new world order, right? That's an obvious fact that we can all agree on, right? The guy who doesn't read documents and tweets about himself in all capital letters and has a crypto wallet full of high-yield shitcoins that have no value.
He does?
Yes. There was a screenshot. Yes, the guy named Will Clemente posted this a while back. Yes. The guy who has all of these factors and also is terrible at managing disasters.
Yeah.
He would be the perfect person to blame this on. And they could also throw his supporters under the bus and say that Donald Trump and his supporters plotted the cyber attack to give control of the United States to Russia or something along those lines.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, it kind of makes you think like Trump could be in office just to be a scapegoat for decently thinking people because obviously there's useful idiots on each side. Like, I mean, 90% of the population shouldn't be voting in the first place,
well,
right or left.
I agree. I made a video about this a while ago talking about I got a bunch of women to sign a petition to abolish the 19th Amendment. They did it very, very easily.
Based women. Actually, those women should be the ones actually voting.
but they should be the only ones.
Yeah. But that's the thing. The thing is, the useful idiots on the left hate this country, and the useful idiots on the right love this country, but they just idol worship, and they think man's going to save them instead of God. But it's very easy to blame the patriots for that shit. You're right. I agree with you.
Yes. And also, Donald Trump creates a lot. Well, he does two things that I don't like, right? And I think it's pretty obvious how I feel, right? And this is not like shitting on his supporters because I really love a lot of people that vote for him a lot. They paid your bills during COVID. They kept your restaurants open. They are the reason why I never had to take a Pfizer or Moderna shot and not have to deal with any consequences as a result of that. Like there's no shit talking or anything. All right, so this is just saying this totally out of love. But with that being said, Donald Trump does two things, right, that are very bad for us, right? He galvanizes communists to vote in droves.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Big time.
And he also placates conservatives to not want to take action and improve their situation because they believe that they got their guy in the driver's seat and he's going to take care of it, and all we got to do is trust the plan.
Right, and that's a problem. A lot of these Trump supporters are like, oh, Jesus this, Jesus that, God this, God that. Yes, absolutely believe in that. But you also got to understand that God gave us free will, and you cannot rely in this world. You cannot rely on just somebody else to save you, especially not man. Like Trump is a 78-year-old man. He ain't going to save you, okay? Yeah, he can lower your taxes and make it a little bit easier for you to do stuff, but he's not going to save you, and I think that's the thing.
Your stocks will do well under Trump.
Yes. Many conservatives don't realize that the plan needs to happen by us.
Yes, and that's the problem, is that Donald Trump kind of encourages complacency on the right and rabid action on the left, which is a deadly combination.
Yep, absolutely, man. But that's the thing, like, that's another thing about the right. We're too moral and we're too nice and we're too free thinking, Like the left they're literally Energizer bunnies that just don't stop at anything,
Yeah.
and the right, oh my god, we got free speech on Twitter, we win, woo!
They think that Elon Musk is like their savior.
It's insane.
But I saw you talk to Alex Jones about this, and you did a good job of saying like, hey, he's doing a lot of stuff that I like, but you got to always be vigilant, right? And like, the thing I noticed about Elon is that certain accounts get kicked off of Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
They get let back on because people beg Elon.
Yeah.
And then now everyone's sucking and hugging on Elon's nuts as a result of it. Or like, there's another guy named Shane Rich who got his YouTube account nuked because he did an interview with Vivek, and then he gained like 20,000 followers all of a sudden overnight on Twitter.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't think that's by accident. I think this is like deliberate, and it's a way to just like make Twitter into the everything app and make the influencer community worship Elon Musk like he's a deity.
Yeah, that could be the case. I don't think YouTube taking down his channel has anything to do with Elon Musk, though.
No, but when you hear when you see an account that's pretty big like that, I'm sure Elon is paying attention and just like, okay, we're gonna flood this guy's follow count.
Yeah, true.
We're gonna put him at the top of the algorithm for the next week. We're gonna flood it.
Hey,
we're gonna flood it.
It's strategic, man. It's freaking strategic.
Even this chick Morgan Ariel.
Yeah. No, Trump has a thing for conservative influencers that are between like 5s and 7s.
Yeah, right. With former OnlyFans girls, like holier than thou single mom OnlyFans girl. I'm not gonna stop with 100-person body count, but you gotta wait till marriage to fuck her.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
no,
but you gotta wait till marriage.
You can't judge me for my past, as her past is splattered all over Twitter, talking about how they just love like black cocks and how they love,
Is her past actually like that? I'm not trying to gossip about another person.
Who?
This Morgan Ariel.
No, that's not hers. That's somebody else.
I'm
about name dropping.
Okay. I'm name dropping her because you're openly like actually promoting like Jew hate on Twitter.
Did she used to be an OnlyFans chick, Morgan Ariel?
Would you be surprised?
No, but I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not trying to do any libel or slander her name. I'm just throwing that word out very loosely. But I do know from seeing previous posts that she did party a lot and probably has a pretty high body count, I would not be surprised if she has a high body count.
Well, do you think I wonder like how many of these single mom influencers, like how many of their kids look exactly like them, or how many of their kids are, I don't know,
black,
mulatto, or mestizi, or
dude, who knows? But what I'm trying to say though with that is that she got fired as like a rep for Turning Point, right?
Right.
Because you're like, you're posting blatant Nazi level shit, right?
But getting fired by TPUSA is kind of a badge of honor, though.
Well,
they're
a joke of an organization, but they're also like a big Trump standing organization also, and they also like nut hug Donald Trump and whatnot too, right?
But how can TPUSA lose Arizona? Like they're based in Arizona and they get perpetually fucked in Arizona,
because it's a joke of an organization who cares more, and they care more about clout peddling and influencer culture than actually relating to regular people. But the point is that this chick got fired, right? And she got fired. Actually, she actually deserved. Like, my opinion, like, you're posting fucking Nazi-like shit on a constant basis. Like, I wouldn't do a sponsorship with you if you're posting that, right? And for me, I'm very, like, liberal about what I'm like. You can say whatever you like, man. This is America. We're all good. You start posting shit like that, I'm like, yo, listen, we gotta have a talk, and this isn't gonna work, right? Ever since she got fired from Turning Point USA, I paid attention to this. Her account's, I think, gone up by like 40%. Like 30,000 followers, she now has like 45,000 followers. Like, I don't think that's organic. I don't think like that big of a boost because you got fired by an organization and you're posting openly Nazi stuff, and there is an agenda to make it so that you have to have ID on the internet in order to post. I don't think that, like, with that being said, amplifying like a Nazi adjacent like e-girl account is being done by accident.
Yeah, that's it. I mean that theory makes sense. It makes sense. It makes sense for sure.
That's all I'm trying to say, man. It's like, and I feel like nobody on our side is really examining the variables. Like, we're getting opt with this. We're getting opt the same way the left got opt during COVID.
True, but I think a lot of it too is like people are getting sick of the typical TPUSA stuff. I mean, Arizona was a reliably red state at one point, and TPUSA gets in. They're supposed to go to all these college campuses. All they promote is like, Lady MAGA, Blair White, Robert White, all this type of stuff. I mean, Turning Point USA. I mean, I said they get fucked in Arizona. I mean, literally at all of their orgy get-togethers, and they also get lose in the polls too via voting. But that shit. I mean, people are getting sick of that. Conservatives are getting sick of that.
I actually agree with you.
I'm getting sick of that.
I'm getting sick of that too.
It's liberal light. It's literally, people.
No,
say,
I agree. I agree with you.
Yeah, people say liberals from 10 years ago. No, it's liberals from like 4 years ago is what TPUSA is.
Well, and then in the beginning they were requiring they still required masks in 2021 to get into their events.
Yeah, so I mean, what's a reactionary? Reactionary is a far opposite shift of that. So I think that if TPUSA was actually conservative, that we'd be seeing all this like Nazi level stuff? No, I don't. But I think that's also just a reactionary to like, okay, you know what, TPUSA wants to have men play dress up and require masks. All right, well, you know what, we're gonna go as far right as possible because we're so sick of this crap.
I agree with you. I actually do agree with you. And I think that when you have helicopter money and rampant inflation, there is a thing where people will lose IQ points. And this type of stuff does make a comeback when, look, Nazism took off in the Weimar Republic when the German mark wasn't worth shit because of how much money they printed.
Yeah.
Right? And you see what's happening here in America, and history doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme. Mm-hmm. And so helicopter money and using unsound government money does lead to that, right? Which is why I'm a big Bitcoin proponent and whatnot as well. So yeah, that what you're saying is 1,000% true. Like, that's not like for this type of discussion. Like, there's no single right or wrong answer. Like, there's multiple answers
correct.
to this, and we're like, we've done such a good job of navigating these psyops these past 3 years, and I feel like we're about to blow it in the fourth quarter because these psyops are being stepped up to such an extent that we think, like, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this, but these ops are being manufactured to such an extent that we're like not realizing what a psyop is and what is nothing. Like, our biggest psyop now is that we are literally believing that everything is a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, like, I was on InfoWars earlier. And I see Alex Jones. He's super awesome guy.
One of the best. These are one of the best people. I love these guys.
Yes.
And I know. Yeah. And you were talking about the tunnels, and I know these guys are like not anti-Semites at all, right?
No,
like, it's insane to even accuse them of that.
They're not. But
they're very fair people.
Yeah, no, 100%. But talk about conspiracy theories, like. I even saw conspiracies that, Alex Jones, because he doesn't talk about this enough, he's just some controlled opposition agent. Oh, he's not actually getting sued. It's all a script. It's all a game. And, I definitely look into everything that I see. But no, I mean, Alex Jones, at least in person right now, he is like stressed out. He's like, he's feeling it, man. Like, this shit's real. Like, all the stuff that's happening to him is real. He's not like part of a game. He's not on a chessboard or anything. It's real shit that's happening. And I think the right's too quick to point to everybody as, oh, this is controlled opposition. This guy's real, and it's just making us all go crazy.
Everybody's controlled op. If you're not, if you don't, it's like the left tries to be more woke than the other, and now on the right, it's who's the most conspirator, who says the most outlandish conspiracy theory is who's winning now, and that's.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not a good path because then we lose sight as to how we manage the real disaster. Because imagine if we're all at each other's throats and we're blaming the Jews and we're blaming Israel and we are like we don't know who to trust anymore. And this has been really amplifying since October 7th. And a cyber attack does occur. Mm-hmm. What will happen? People are going to be begging for digital IDs. They're going to have their finances wiped out. Imagine you're stuck in a big city and you see a bunch of like undocumented criminals in all these big cities. Like, you're going to see like potentially bloodshed and chaos like you've never seen before. And all it needs to do is last for like a week, 2 weeks, a month, right?
Yeah.
People are going to be so irreparably traumatized from this that they're going to give up. They're not going to care. The New World Order could then potentially win. So I think that like when we're too caught up in these conspiracy theories, right? Like even with the tunnels, right? Mm-hmm. It causes us to lose sight of the bigger picture. Because the big picture is a group of elites who go to Davos are trying to use a bunch of tragedies and crises to create a new world order. And the big crises that you could think of are three things, right? There's virus, there's disease, there's cyber attack, and there's wars, right? And so it's like, okay, well, your goal as somebody who's an information warrior and freedom fighter in this age, your goal is to try to stop each of these things from happening by raising awareness. When we start like getting sidetracked and trying to like influence peddle and engagement farm and argue about things like calendars, You're losing sight over stopping the big disaster from taking place, which is how the New World Order actually will come into existence.
Yeah, and that's where the right that's where the right's values are kind of a detriment to us because, you know, our values are we want to be successful. So a lot of these influencers probably think, well, how can I balance me being successful personally with also pushing conservatism? So a lot of them probably say shit they don't believe in. Like, you know, a lot of them, even if it's about Israel, Palestine, whatever, a lot of them probably say shit they don't believe in order to, you know, get more money without actually pushing the right views or pushing the, you know, pushing moral views and all of this type of stuff. And that's the thing with the left. Like, them being unfulfilled losers actually helps them in this case because all they give a fuck about is just pushing their unfulfilled loser ideology
Well,
and
it's
just
because
being a
they
part
are
of
the
something.
standing army for the New World Order.
No,
and,
they are.
And we are supposed to be the people to stop the New World Order from manifesting itself.
Right.
And if we are unfulfilled losers too, who are financially desperate, especially as a result of what happened these past 3 years, or we think everything is a scam when it's not. There's a lot of people on the right who think Bitcoin's a scam. And I'm like, well, cool. You just got scammed into not protecting yourself from inflation. And now you have to influence peddle and talk about the Jews in order to make $50 from Elon Musk every month.
Yeah, true. No, I mean, I know what you mean. We just have to, I mean, see, the thing with the left is they all rally behind Joe Biden. Like, all these people that say, oh, my God, Joe Biden.
Actually, they hate Joe Biden. A lot of the lefties hate Joe Biden.
Right.
Nobody's wearing a
Biden
Biden hat.
What I'm about to say is, like, all these people that say, oh, my God, I hate Joe Biden. He has blood in their hands. Do you think they're really going to sit out and not vote for Joe Biden? Of course they're going to go vote for Joe Biden. Of course they're going to go vote for
I think that's – yeah, keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, of course they're going to vote for anybody that's remotely near their side. And that's what the right doesn't do. And, you know, that's where our free thinking and that's where our skepticism actually is a detriment to us.
Maybe, but I think in the long term, it's better that we get. You know, we do need to purge the Republican Party of these bad actors.
Agreed. We might need with the Republican Party might need to take it in the ass. TPUSA. I'm not looking at you right now. You know what I mean?
Well, they're going to need that TP after it's all.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't mean you, TPSA, but we might need to take some losses in order for us to say, okay, look, we need to rally behind. Like, I'm not saying Thomas Massey, but someone kind of like Thomas Massey.
Who do you like better though? Like, and I know it's tough to say too, right? And because of all this influence stuff on the right, a lot of people who are on our side. Are scared to share how they actually feel about the presidential primary.
Yeah, 100%. Who do I like in the primary? Well,
it's okay. Don't be shy. Nobody listens to this anyway, Alex.
No. Well, if I had to choose, I mean, Nikki Haley. Okay, I mean, I'm just gonna rank him from 4 to 1. So Nikki Haley's the obvious last choice.
Okay.
Right. Like, I mean, we agree on that one.
Yes.
Nikki Haley, obviously, like if Nikki Haley was running against Joe Biden, I wouldn't vote. Like, I hate her that much.
I might actually. No, I'd vote for Kennedy.
Maybe so.
I'd vote for Kennedy.
Well, I mean, yeah, because you got to think who's harmed more kids, the pedo Joe Biden, the Epstein flyer Kennedy, or the person who's going to bomb the shit out of children everywhere, Nikki Haley.
Probably Haley.
Haley's probably harmed the most kids. Joe Biden probably has a long victim count. Kennedy probably has a few bodies of underage kids. We'll probably just go with Kennedy.
Well, maybe he just honestly just flew on that plane once and just told the truth too. Like, there also could just be that. There also could be a very real possibility that it's just.
Yeah, I'm sorry, dog. You don't
because then you could also say the same thing about Trump because Trump and Epstein, Epstein went to Trump's casino. So why are we even putting our faith in Trump?
Oh, I'm not.
I'm not either.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. He went to Epstein. Yeah. I think that's something to be looked into. But yeah, I just went fossil hunting in South Dakota and I had to take Epstein's plane for it. Give me a break, motherfucker. But yeah, okay. So anyway, Haley, third would probably be. Oh gosh, it would probably be Trump. I think I would want a Vivek over Trump.
Okay.
And then second and first, this is where it's a toss-up. God damn it. I think. Well, I would only say DeSantis because Vivek obviously has better rhetoric by far, but DeSantis has a track record of either of spending very conservatively, like he objectively spends very conservatively. The money he does spend, it's used very efficiently. And, yeah, he may have not shrunk government too much, but he does. Well, actually, he does a lot with a little.
He did. No, he shrunk the deficit by 25% or something like that.
Yeah. He does shrink government. And as for the warmonger, I just don't trust anything Vivek says because his track record is a big pharma bro. But, besides that, it's the fact that he wrote Ohio's COVID policy. And Ohio, for the red states, had one of the strictest lockdowns. So I would still put Vivek over Trump, but because Trump is kind of a bitch to the establishment, but DeSantis would probably be number one by a little bit. What about you?
No, I think everybody already knows how I feel.
Yeah.
I definitely think DeSantis is the best choice. Everything you said, Also, banning central bank digital currencies in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big thing.
That is a big thing.
You took BlackRock out of the pension fund. You've taken on Disney. As a result of that, you're actively fighting for parents' rights. You were the first state to really like reopen fully, and you did this against the guidelines of the Trump White House. You fired like the CDC-run public health official, and you hired Joseph Ladopa, who was like really good about actually being healthy.
I think that was one of his best decisions.
And he's a middle-class guy. Like that's a guy like us. This is a middle-class guy who actually like through hard work and entrepreneurship and innovation got to where he got. Whereas Trump is just a guy who was born into money and made billions of dollars because he was given multi-millions of dollars worth of loans and he was born on third base and brags about kind of hitting a triple is how I feel.
Yeah, that's true.
And also, like, you got to think about this too, right? Like the Trump campaign, when they talk about Trump, what are people talking about? No, but DeSantis. What are people saying about DeSantis when they talk about him?
Yeah, like,
his shoes.
Yeah. His
okay,
shoes.
so if you're making fun of
dude.
this guy's shoes, you know what that means? It means you have nothing else to make fun of him about. It means like if you have to resort to making fun of this guy's shoes because he's putting insoles in his shoes. Well, guess what? He's not fucking little kids on an island in the Bahamas.
No, 100%. I mean, because they can't, on a straight up policy and ideology perspective, I mean, even these people that are just, cocksuckers for Trump, they know that DeSantis is to the right of Trump on literally every single issue. Like, there's not a single one that Trump is more to the right on.
I actually feel as though because I've been openly supporting DeSantis on social media, I've gotten less people have wanted to share my videos.
Probably.
And that's okay. Like I'm okay with that because I'm doing this because I want to live in America. Because this is not a fun thing to be doing. I mean, it's fun. It's fun because we're friends and we've done some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
And you're doing something that gives you a genuine sense of purpose. But like in terms of like doing this to make money, this is not a fun way to make money if your goal is making money.
Sure.
Like if your goal is making money, there are way better things that you should be doing, right? And I'm doing this stuff, and I'm doing what I am doing because I still want to live in the United States, and I have a voice now, and I want to use my voice to try to like influence how people can respond accordingly to these psyops that are obviously a threat to destroy this country.
No, 100%.
And so if it means, hey, I'm going to openly support DeSantis, and less people share my tweets, or I'm not invited on, no one's going to want to invite me on InfoWars until after the primary. Like, and I don't think that's the truth. I'm just throwing out hypotheticals, right?
Yeah.
Because I love those people, and those are my friends, and they always will be, right? I'm just throwing out this is just a total hypothetical statement, okay? I'm okay with that. Or if I'm okay with like openly saying like, yo, I'm proud to be Jewish and I'm proud of who I am, no matter what people are saying. If people are going to like flame me or talk shit about me because I'm proud of who I am, like I'm good with that. Like nothing has changed in terms of the content that I've been making. Yeah. I'm just like openly proud of who I am because I don't, I don't want, to be viewed a certain way because of people at the ADL or because of people at the Biden administration or because of like the CEOs of major news networks. Like these probably don't even a lot of these people probably don't even have a genuine religious foundation anyway.
Right. And that's the thing with a leader too. Like it's not about how they do in the the years they're in office. We got to look at the legacy that they've created. George Washington is a great leader because still to this day we have the Constitution 250 years later, right?
Yeah.
So with Trump, I mean, his legacy is okay. We still have like the tax cuts that he had, right? I don't think Biden's raised a tax rate, but everything else Trump did is dismantled, right? The foreign policy's fucked, the border's fucked. Trump's legacy is pretty much just fucked within the span of 3 years. But so I think DeSantis, if he's in office for 8 years, I think he's going to lead us down a path that's longer than 8 years, where his legacy is there for a longer time than Trump's. Whether it's even a year or two longer, I just think he's going to do a better job of road mapping America for the future, not just the 8 years he's there.
A DeSantis presidency has the potential to delay the New World Order by at least a decade.
I agree.
No cyber attack is occurring under a DeSantis presidency.
Right.
It won't happen. This is a guy who reads everything. And listen, like you listen to him debate, he has the personality of a cardboard box. Yeah. And that's okay. That's okay because he's actually really good at navigating a bureaucracy, and he reads documents and he pays attention to what's going on, and he's really good at managing disasters. And you need somebody who has a proven track record of managing disasters, and you have to give that person a chance. And there are some people on the DeSantis team who are a little war hawkish, like the communications people on Twitter. Like some of them are a little hawkish, some of them are that I would like. Some of them repeat like mainstream media narratives lately when it comes to January 6th, and you should, look, you should get a bigger DeSantis tent, and that should get corrected. But that's okay to call that out. Like I'll call that out openly. That's fine. But I think overall, based on action, I definitely think that but far and away, this is the only hope to genuinely get us out of the path that we're on is to elect DeSantis. And another reason why is because he's not going to placate anybody on the right. People, because he's not that engaging of a person. He's kind of a boring guy. He's just probably a cool guy to hang out with in public and talk very down to earth.
Right.
But he's probably just a very boring, average, down to earth, middle of the road kind of guy. And that doesn't inspire people to do nothing. It inspires people to say, okay, well, shit, I got to run for office. I got to do this. This guy actually has a track record of winning. If I run for office and I have a good plan, maybe people connected to that guy could actually help me win if what I'm doing is in line with these policies.
Yeah, because people can connect to Trump through his personality, but they can connect to DeSantis with his status of just being a kind of an average guy.
Yeah.
So I think that would motivate people to go out and do things, because with Trump, it's oh my God, he's going to save us all. Nobody's looking at DeSantis oh my God, he's going to save us all. I just want DeSantis in there because I truly want the border to be closed, and I truly want major tax cuts, not that weenie shit that Trump did.
Facts.
And
also, I don't think Trump did anything to actually help Owen while he was going through that legal battle.
No.
I don't think he did, right? I could be wrong, but I don't think he did.
Fuck. He doesn't care.
Doesn't care, yeah. My friend Joey Lynn's getting sued by Joe Biden for driving a truck next to the Biden tour bus. Nobody in the Trump team reached out or did anything to help.
No, they just don't care.
They actually do not care. And that's what's so frustrating about it, is that they won't actually – you could have done one rally and helped the J6 protesters, and you never did.
Right. And then, but DeSantis actually has a track record in Florida of saying, hey, you're pardoned for the mask thing. We're not going to fine you for that. He is, and of course, it's a way smaller scale than storming the Capitol. But, and then another thing that I like about DeSantis, too, is even though I think he failed with this, actually, just they point to well, he didn't completely cuck Disney out of existence. Okay, well, you're not going to win every battle. I mean, you take wins and losses. But he tried to redistrict Florida to be super duper duper Republican and gerrymander the shit out of it. You know what? I don't care. The left doesn't play by the rules, and I think DeSantis is the only one out of Trump and Haley. I mean, I think Vivek gets it. I don't know how bad it is, but I think DeSantis is the only one to understand the left doesn't actually play by any rules.
No, he's about it. He's gonna win. He wins. That guy has a track record of winning, and both of us are athletes. Okay, I hate losing. Both of us want to fucking win. I'm not doing this because I want to lose and I want to engage in farm. I'm doing this because I genuinely want to live in the country that I thought we lived in when I was a kid.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, no, none of us I mean, obviously, my job is the predator catching, and that's how I get paid.
Oh yeah, and speaking of which, what was that law in Florida?
Was that law in
the
Florida?
pedos?
Oh
yeah,
the death penalty. Yeah, that's fucking great. That's fucking great. Dude, but when it comes to political stuff, I'm not making any profit off of this or any of the political stuff.
Absolutely not. You're doing this because you want to, and
100%.
People support your work with the predator catching, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think anybody in the Trump team would actually listen to your input on solving the sex trafficking crisis?
No, but I don't have all the answers either.
No, but no, you don't. But or that we caught this one dude named Jonathan, right, back in a year ago or something, right? A little less than a year ago.
Jonathan.
No, it was over a year ago. Back in Laredo, right, in the valley. Tid.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Jonathan Tid.
Didn't the federal government reach out to you and say that they lost
Yeah, they said they didn't recover the messages between our account and his. So I had some screenshots I sent him. I don't have everything, but they can luckily get them on the CP.
Well, that's good. You think a Ron DeSantis FBI is going to lose any of that stuff?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
They are not losing that.
Right. No, I think stuff, and to be fair, under Trump, he did go after sex trafficking a lot more than a lot of other presidents. That was good.
Yeah, that is
good. But the thing is, I don't think Trump does a single thing that DeSantis would do better. Maybe foreign policy, but that's
I think
about
foreign
it.
policy, yes. I think you could say foreign policy.
Yeah.
But also things were a lot different back when Trump was in office versus now.
Absolutely.
So who even knows? I can see that people on the DeSantis team actually taking advice from you in terms of how to mitigate this crisis.
I hope so.
I
hope
could
so.
actually see that happening in real life. We got to wrap up kind of soon. It is getting dark, but there is one last. Now?
All right.
All right. I guess we're wrapping.
Wrap out Joe Biden. Go.
Well, that's for the bonus footage. All right, we're wrapping up. All right. Well, Alex, how do we get a hold of you?
I don't know, Alex. You tell him. No. You can get a hold of me at 832. I'm sitting next to it. No, it's my Rumble is Predator Poachers, PREDATOR space POACHERS. My Twitter's I Fight for Kids, IFIGHT Follow me on those two. It would really mean the world. And thanks for having me on Strangio.
Absolutely. A pleasure's all mine. Alex, thank you so much.
Appreciate you, dog.
All right, tune in for the bonus footage because we have some more stuff I want to ask. All right.
Yeah, I meant to come back here earlier. I'm sorry.
What's okay? I mean, I'm glad actually.
It's all pitch black.